Hi, and welcome to Words to the Tech Savvy. Today we'll be discussing how our language is affected by technology, specifically texting and tweeting. It doesn't take a linguist to determine that our language has been affected by technology, but a linguist might help determine the kinds of modifications that our language has undergone and undergoes still today. Overall, English hasn't changed that much. There's no new grammar. Only a few hundred words have been introduced to a language with over 500,000 words. And but a few new forms of punctuation have come into existence. Punctuations like emoticons, you have the colon with the parenthesis closing sign to indicate a smiley face, and exaggerated forms of punctuation marks. For example, one might type wow in an online chat and follow it with 10 exclamation marks. But as a whole, the structure of the English language has remained the same. So what has changed, and have these changes benefited, say, Generation Y, us teens, you and me? David Crystal, a linguistics professor at Bangor University and the author of countless books on languages, likes to think that new forms of technology like texting and tweeting have actually enriched our language and are bettering the test scores of teenagers. He even gives some information on the impact that new innovations have had on English. When printing was invented in the 1400s, new spellings, punctuation, and language styles emerged. With the invention of the telephone in the 19th century, came new patterns of dialogue. Broadcast in the 1920s gave rise to new language styles, such as news readings, commentaries, and chat shows. And when the world was introduced to the internet and cell phones, well, let's just say that no one was prepared for the diversity that was about to take place. In 2009, in the month of June alone, America witnessed over 135 billion texts. That's more than 80% of the amount of texts sent and received 12 months earlier. That's quite the change. The internet and texting have diversified the styles of our language, no doubt. We speak differently when sending overdue business documents, when gossiping in chat rooms, when assaulting other players in online games, when blogging about topics that many times few people care about, and even when sending seemingly pointless text messages. Though the messages we send and receive have become considerably shorter, according to Crystal, English has suddenly become so much richer to express. Let me explain it to you in about 160 characters. Today's immediacy strains us to expel many ideas and emotions with the little room we are given. Today's technology empowers us to accomplish just that. So exactly what kind of myths are we up against in light of this information? Well, Crystal gives us a few examples of misconceptions that he's researched and argues against. 1. Text messages are full of abbreviations. 2. Teenagers misspell words because they don't know how to spell the words that they're using. And 3. Teenagers carry this textism, which is the term referring to the emerging dialect of exchanging and omitting letters and numbers from words. So they carry this textism into their scholarly work. Well, it's unfortunate that rumor tends to spread faster than truth. Abbreviations occupy only about 10% of a text message's written content. Why is that? Well, because over 80% of texters are in fact adults. Think of businessmen of large corporations sending texts about meetings and important dates. In many cases, it's the new kind of memo. Entire political campaign parties raising awareness about issues and announcing upcoming events. Radio and TV hosts connecting with their listeners and viewers and talking about important information. These are just a few examples of adults engaged in a large amount of texting. Professor David Crystal took the time to visit various schools, and he simply asked the students why they choose to leave out the letters they do. Among several answers, the most common was because it's cool. Due to the concise and fast-paced status quo of this 21st century, it comes as no surprise that shorter wording is in. It's a fashion that students are trying to keep up with, and you have to know what you're doing in order to be cool. Crystal argues that teens must know how to spell a word in order for them to know which letters to leave out. In fact, the best texters who use textism are actually the best spellers. While he was visiting schools, Crystal also asked students and teachers about the differences, if any, between language incorporated in texting and that used in schoolwork and essays. Obviously enough, both teachers and students asserted clear distinctions. Though it may be contrary to popular belief, most students aren't that half-witted. It'd be simply preposterous to conclude that most teens would use an LOL in a paper without a reason of, conveying a point or citing it in a quotation. Considering all these allegations we can confidently dub myths, it appears that the refutations against the benefits of texting and tweeting aren't all that well received. Now, you may be thinking, I've heard from all these experts and what they have to say, but what about from people like me, students? What do they have to say about all of this? Well, let's find out.
It has affected them a lot.
In what way?
Okay, well, I don't know. Instead of using like Y-O-U, they just put U. So then kids started learning to use that.
Well, I text all the time, and I've realized that texting too much kind of like makes my vocabulary go down the drain by using like shortened words, and it's just not good.
Okay. I think that people will just misspell on the internet because, they think it's cool nowadays because all the celebrities do it. They'll just misspell a word just because it's fashionable. Yes.
It's gotten worse. I mean, it's gotten worse.
Okay, it's really bad because like all these students and stuff are like text writing on their essays and stuff.
It's definitely reduced the literacy, but one must ask what is standard English because the way that people communicate with each other actually enriches the English language because people understand stuff even if it's like a bastardized version of English. And texting and tweeting has like miniaturized and simplified versions and has already brought multiple lexicon additions to the English language.
There are no such studies.
What
You're
if I told
lying
you
to
that?
me.
Well, I'm surprised.
Who's being studied and who's conducting the study and what is the variance and the error rates and stuff like that.
I think I have a good answer. I'm not trying to just say something random.
I mean, it's
If
okay.
it improves, if you're saying it improves it,
Yeah.
I would have to disagree. I don't see how that can be possible.
I wouldn't really be surprised by that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it real
Yeah.
that it improves? Improves their writing skills?
Yeah.
What if you told me that? I don't believe that.
I mean, I guess it goes both ways. I mean, there's some people that like I don't know, like when you text and stuff, like after a while, like you subconsciously like just you like write like that. But whenever like I write an essay for school or something like that, when I type it, I always write the words out. So I don't know.
Texting language?
Yeah.
I would never do that.
No, not at all, ever. Not at all, no.
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 That's like logic.
No.
Never, because then I would fail.
Well, personally, I try to be grammatically correct when I text, unless I'm over the limit, then I shorthand. But of course, I would never use it in a school paper. My professors would tear it to shreds.
Oh no, never. Yes, that's for sure. Absolutely. In quotations, though. I can say, Sally said, G2G, or see you later.
I mean, I guess I have, but there's been like just as simple to communicate as from any other formal standard English language version of any tweet. So
I've sent something meaningful over text. Does that count?
Yes.
Well, my sister texted me once, and she was having an exam in college, and she's like, "What's the answer to this?" And I helped her out.
In classes where I have to take notes, I write in text form because it's faster and more convenient.
It depends on the message, but not from the way it was written.
No, probably not.
Yes.
And would you mind sharing?
There's a lot of things. Like, from my school paper, I guess. Homework.
Nothing really meaningful at all.
Well, I learned that you can make up words via tweeting and have the Webster's Dictionary praise you for it, like Sarah Palin did. But personally, no, I have not.
Actually, yeah. I think that like a lot of companies nowadays use Twitter to like try to market their product. Like I'm subscribed to a company that gives discounts if you follow them on Twitter, so I can definitely benefit from that.
Gossip.
Is that it? There are several theories for how one can improve his literacy skill, but one generally agreed upon rule is that the more you read and write, the greater your reading and writing ability. According to research done by Coventry University, it was concluded that the more you text, the better your literacy scores. I mean, doesn't it make sense? A text message is essentially words on a screen that grants teens the ability to read their received messages and then write back their responses. Granted, this level of practice may not prepare a student for higher critical thinking or for analyzing a challenging literary passage, but it is still practice, and it's a great incentive for students to write and read every single day. As a final word, don't be discouraged by continuous texting. I'd say that the only time you should consider putting down your cell phone is if you're engaged in a really good book. Thank you and have a good day. Oh, that was my cell phone. I just got a text. What do you know?